And we're live. Hello and welcome to a super special edition of the Maddie Allin live show. I'm here with Steph, the founder of Staker app, who's just released V2. Welcome.
Thanks, Maddie, for having me. Yeah, I've been in the show a few times, but it's always a pleasure to be back.
Well, this is a real treat, and I just want to remind people who maybe haven't heard or don't know the part of the backstory. You've been in crypto since 2014. You've been a team lead at Google. You worked in privacy and literacy. It's been rumored that you're a hex whale. So you're in the top numbers of lots of things in the world. Your app is the #1 in the world for on-chain ranking, and #1 deployer of smart contracts, which is what Vitalik uses, Gnosis safe. And so that's it's a great honor to have you here.
No, thank you. And I mean, in no regard, I'm #1 in everything, but obviously I'm highly competitive, and I like to get to the top in everything I do, whether it's in the relationship I have next to me, professional or personal, in business, and I'm very curious. So, in many regards, we're trying to bring to our users things that they haven't seen anywhere before, right? The league was a way to do that with a bit of storytelling. On the technology side, we brought to the attention of the X community the multi-sig smart wallets. And so I think over time we want to keep doing that. More recently, we coined and used in the latest version of the app what we call QV ranking, for quarterly volume ranking with on-chain data. So yeah, I think over the months we'll keep adding innovation and trying to fill the gap where I know in a few years from now we can all be proud and say that more millions of humans have access to crypto and have full sovereignty over their money.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the team goal here, is to onboard more people into crypto and increasing monetary sovereignty and freedom in the world. I'm super on board with that. I want to also thank you, Steph, publicly, because I would say it's probably you and Richard Hart and Hexologist who are the most influential to me becoming financially free. And the part that you really contributed was not only my understanding, but everybody I learned from when it comes to T-shares. And that's something that when I was in Hex on day 3, not everybody understood. The game mechanics hadn't played out yet. The APY wasn't very high in the first few days. And so your gamification and your storytelling, you've shared that before. And there are a lot of really powerful ideas that you've come up with that have benefited from the community. Whether you get the appreciation you deserve or not, I want to thank you.
No, that's cool. And I look back actually a few days ago about how many people at the time were mentioning shares and discussing them and the importance of shares. Early 2020, at the end of 2019, well, very few people that have appetite for game theory and contract and launches were discussing it. I mean, the most verbose and complete description of the shares have been written by the person referred as Dave Kyle early on, and I read it was considered to be kind of the more layman, user-friendly way of describing what was happening in the Hex smart contract. And obviously, observing Richard and the development of first Bitcoin Hex and Hex later, for me it was a treat. But I quickly realized that most people would not understand what is at stake, no pun intended, and that the most valuable piece of the Hex ecosystem is the share. So once you can, digest that concept and present it in a very digestible manner for our users, that was the initial goal, and I'm glad that it picked on. Right now, many people are referring about themselves based on their league level, and often, even if they don't share it publicly, privately, they have goals in mind about what they want to achieve.
And that's that's something that I guess V2 is going to have an extended feature on when it comes to knowing, I guess, the dollar value or the T-share number that it would take to level up.
Yeah, I mean, we launched right now mostly on Android, and iOS is being currently reviewed. And I was surprised that we had a bit of negative sentiment based on a few things that we took away versus focusing on what we've added, right? And we were just discussing about leagues. For that game theory and explanation of where you're progressing relative to others in the ecosystem, we broken down the league system into levels, so it's even more granular over time, and indicated either the X amount or dollar amount required uh, to make it to the next level, which is 1/100th of an entire league. Or if you want to league up, jump directly to the next league. It depends on your situation. Sometimes it could be a high amount. Yeah, we give you that data and these tools, and things are evolving dynamically. So yeah, we're happy just to keep adding more to the experience. And nothing is perfect, but we hope to believe that the sweat and the effort of the entire team is being appreciated by people using the product.
Yeah, I've worked with a lot of people in my therapy career when I was doing that. I was helping people quit drugs, and it strikes me that an app that people would have in their hands 24/7, and they can just hit the refresh button, and all the numbers change on it, and they get this big hit of dopamine whenever things are a particular way. I can imagine that changing any little tiny thing, even if it's a major upgrade, and even if it's designed to like onboard millions of more users, people could start to grumble a little bit if you mess with their dopamine.
Yeah, no. Any change is always a bit critical, right? And even if we could have spent even more time with the tutorial. Okay, what changed, how to do it, and we're starting scoping out that amount of work. And I know for a fact, based on my experience building product for billions, that most people don't read. And if you provide them with a tutorial, they will skip it, and it will actually help 1% of. And so it's part kind of the game. We knew that we wanted Stakers to be a home for more cryptocurrencies and the best cryptocurrencies. Hex, we started with that, and it's unlikely, if you're a true believer in Hex, it's unlikely that that status gets dethroned in whatever shape and form. But it doesn't mean that it will never be dethroned by a better product. I mean, it's actually part of technology. Things improve. There's new ways, new understanding of understanding these things. So at some point, what we want to do is just provide a home for all communities that are embracing the crypto values. And some people like the Hex flavors, others like other kind of products. The best thing we can do is provide on-chain data just to compare side by side. Hey, if you're on Shiba Inu or Dogecoin, you're most likely to be liquid because you don't have this locking mechanism. It would be fantastic if in the app we could side by side provide all these different communities with on-chain data of the performance of their favorite token. At some point, once you present them with this on-chain data that they can verify themselves, it's easy to onboard them towards the best product.
That's very forward thinking, and that's really cool, especially with the fact that the number 3 coin ranking site just dropped off the face of the earth recently. So that there's definitely a need, and the improved methodology that you have there is also that's getting rid of all the spoofing, but also all the incentives, the wrong incentives that places like Binance, who own CoinMarketCap, have. So uh, I'm excited to see how that use case will grow for people wanting to
Mm-hmm.
see what the top coins are using your app.
And the way we were thinking about it, especially for that kind of QV ranking section, is, let's say if I were in charge of redesigning CoinMarketCap, right? Because one of the major broadly using more than 80% of like crypto users, how would I design it, right? Any kind of token listing, whether it's on DEX screeners, on the Uniswap token listing, or even Pulsion now is having its own, token listing as well. How do you provide something that help user get on board and differentiate the strengths or limitation of different protocols or tokens? And I came to the conclusion that you should have data, on-chain data about community growth, like the holders, people staking or not, the average holding duration if there's no staking capabilities, and if you provide all this stuff side by side, over time growth and changes, and how long people are holding these different tokens. That's the kind of experience that I would want to have in the app, and that will help newcomers coming to the market and say, well, this token is being held on average for 3 days or 3 hours. Do I want to be part of that gambling casino token, or being part of something a bit more robust and solid with a long-term minded community? And I believe that there's no one else right now in crypto and in crypto community that is thinking in these terms. So we're willing to take short-term hits by some of the hex maxis and people that don't want to see any other tickers in the application, and bridge to new communities, to enlighten them in a sense. And maybe it's a bit arrogant to think in these terms. Maybe people will always love their dog, the favorite dog ticker token. But I think this is the opportunity. Show them what is the data, on-chain data.
I showed a graphic one time. I think it's one of the times I was interviewing Richard, where I was comparing the Coinbase statistics that they put on their page as to how long people hold their coins compared to the people who are time locking Hex, and it's like Hex users are blowing every other coin out of the water.
That's what we did not do it on purpose. I was expecting that with our QV ranking would be high, Hex would be high level, but eliminating or filtering out the stable coins, I would not have guessed that in terms of like 3 months aggregated volume, Hex would be there. It's fair to say that with the recent level of activity and the price increase since January, we're having this kind of like tailwind favoriting Hex, but still, it's good to know that in terms of like on-chain volume and engagement, that Hex is probably one of the top coins in the world. So hard to fake.
That's surprising because Hex isn't just a trading coin. It's got this other.
Yeah, but I think Richard, the building it told people that you have this kind of a speculative stickiness where even long-term minded people will have some tension about how much of their portfolio in X would they want to stake versus keeping liquid, right? And the more cycles they see, the more. And so that what creates volume, because people make some gains with the yield they're receiving or rewards they're receiving from their stakes, and then they need to make that calculation. Okay, in the short term, do I trade? Do I have some long-term stakes versus short-term stakes, and how much do I? This speculative stickiness and this ability to always come back to the product, because if you don't come back, the rewards get dissipated or diffused in terms of penalties. A beautiful design that creates that level of engagement, volume, and activity.
Absolutely. There are like lots of topics that I'm excited to talk to you about today. And one of the things that I'm interested, because you and I both are interested in like onboarding and like security and like lots of stuff, but I think to go to let's say like community and like, all right, so I'll tell a brief story. So it was yesterday. Ivan on Tech had these two guys on. I don't know. One of them is like the Wolf of all streets on Twitter. Maybe he's got hundreds of thousands of subscribers on Twitter.
I've seen clips of that interview.
Yeah, and then the other guy is some kind of shill or something. Used to like promote FTX and still didn't get canceled. But Ivan brings up the point of like, hey, because they had just both said, yeah, we're here for the mad gains. Like all we care about is the price. And then Ivan's like, well, what about Hex? What about Pulse Chain? And both of the guys, they like, one of the guys takes 2 steps back from his microphone. The other guy, disgust fills his face. And these guys, they're willing to talk about Bitcoin and Ethereum and Solana. they're not willing to talk about hex, and there's a lot of upside, so I think still there in the crypto community. But for me, it's really fascinating, like what the culture is in the first place of our community. And like, for example, I said a lot of mean things about Hedron when it came out, and lots of people didn't like that. So there are these complex social dynamics that are happening. And another data point that I've seen is like these Bitcoin conference maxis. So I went to the Bitcoin conference last year. There were 15,000 people there. Everybody I met was super excited to talk about any crypto. They're just like, and these are people who love crypto so much they paid $700 to go to a 2-day conference. And it's like they're just
maybe they don't love crypto enough, because you would use that money just to invest in buying the token itself.
True. Yeah, I always put on my meetups, like, don't attend this, buy crypto instead. Major disclaimer there. But but people still do it, and it's because they're really excited to take all their ideas that they've digitized into crypto, and then they like materialize on the other end with like other people who understand what they've gone through in the digital world. But I think it's interesting that the organizers of the Bitcoin conference, they are such extreme maximalists that they've got this crazy cancel culture. They canceled Ross Ulbricht's mom because she had done an NFT, so they didn't let her speak for the first time ever this past year. They almost threw Robert Breedlove out, which is one of their top influencers. So they got this like royalty thing going on where like these guys on Ivan on Tech, part of the reason that there's a culture in crypto of being scared to talk about hex is because you get bounced out of the Bitcoin community if you talk about any other competitors. So I'm really curious. Like for me, when I was trying to decide like the ethics of and the intent and the scope of the Hex conference online this year, what I found is that I could just politely, that like we're at the point somehow where I could just invite everybody who talks about Hex, and if they talked about other things, I could just politely ask them like, hey, are you willing to like keep it Hex related? And nobody even pushed back to say like, come on man, let me talk about something else. So what are your thoughts about all that, all those like data points of community and culture?
Yeah, I think the main things that you're pointing out, I think you want to talk about maximalism and or tribalism that you see in the crypto communities. And the way I like to refer to crypto is like maybe sport fandom supercharged with money, right? So if your team loses a bit, or even if it doesn't loses but relatively gains less than another one, you feel that that your bags, that you financially hurt. So it goes beyond just wearing the jersey. It goes with what you have left in your wallet. So yeah, I've lived through that for 10 years, and there is reason why the level of religion or cultism you see in crypto exists, and I fully embrace that. And the people that will be the most maximalist will be the ones that are overexposed or leveraged towards one asset, and their whole entire future depends on the asset to do well. So it tells more about the person itself, right? If someone is really, really extreme about any things in life, about how much they'll leverage for that things just to succeed. So when someone is, I feel that it gets very emotional about a ticker symbol, it means to me that it's just being very transparent about what they own and what will happen to their life if that thing were not to succeed, which could be very painful, right? The dreams, aspiration, the retirement that they wanted, maybe a lot of things could, that could be crushed.
Yeah.
So it's just lesson. It's just a lesson for yourself. Often people are just projecting their fears and insecurities. So maxis are required. They exist. They are part of like bringing more adoption. The more people are convinced with their bones that this thing is gonna change the world, the more they convince people around us. It becomes to a certain extent contagious. But this level of extremism where it could also deter from future adoption, right? So this is kind of a swing. This is a spectrum. When it comes to Staker specifically, or myself, I try to be very more stepping back and say, what are the goals? What is the end game here? What is the ultimate things that we want to see achieved? Is not having any agency in any governments, any banks deleting my money for whatever reasons they are. So whether you do it through Bitcoin, to Hedron, to Hex, or Shiba Inu, I don't actually give a and most people should have a more moderate position. It's like the goal here is maybe to make gains along the way of that new technological wave, but we haven't solved anything if we don't embrace this true crypto principle, which is about sovereignty. Right? And this is the goal, regardless of the flavor.
I think one of the greatest lessons that I've learned in my crypto journey of being a broadcaster is that it really pays to play nicely with others and to be really careful to keep reminding myself of that over and over again. When there are emotional stakes, as you specified, and so yeah, it's really cool to hear your thoughts about that.
And just to circle back on maybe your more precise question about what would you do, if you were to organize a conferences about a specific topic and people would want to bring some sort of unrelated or adjacent ideas, this is a hard call, right? And then you need to go back to what is the goal of that conference in the first place. Right? It's just to speak about people that are already in, or people that you could convert. You need to really to ask yourself that question.
Yeah, that's a great question. Now you've been teasing a lot about tokenomics online, but first, before I badger you about that, I want to know what's going on with the Gnosis safe airdrop. Is it true that people, when they're given the power to vote for things, they actually vote to like wait to get their tokens? Because like it seems like there was a DAO, and it seems like that DAO did something I wouldn't predict, which is like, hey, let's not unlock these coins yet. Do you have any knowledge?
So people that that use StakeUp and a smart wallet, for the most part, may have been able just to claim or benefit from the safe airdrop, which is a token that's been created by the creator of the underlying technology. They started by creating that token as kind of a governance token and made something quite very unusual in terms of doing an airdrop, meaning that the token itself, you would receive them, but one feature right now in the smart contract, token smart contract, is that you cannot actually trade the token, right? So it cannot be sent. More specifically, it cannot be sent. So it cannot be sent. It cannot be traded, sent to decentralized exchange. And the activation of that send feature at the smart contract is subject to a community vote. So far, there was, I think, a first proposal that got rejected, or people are mentioning things in different forms. So as part of like being a huge promoter of the safe ecosystem, Gnosis safe ecosystem, we receive a lot of delegation from the StakeUp users for us just to act on behalf of them within that DAO, decentralized organization. And for us, yeah, the priority is for people that did not get the chance to claim to extend that period, right? So we voted for the extension of the period to make sure that more of our users get the ability just to claim their airdrop. So we're trying to act as the best custodian of ground possible of the votes and the confidence that have been given to us by our users. And yeah, we are pro enabling the trading or sending of that token as soon as possible, right? So I don't think our voice is strong enough. I mean, it's a large governance body where the largest part is held by the Initial Foundation and team. But I've been discussing quietly with them, and I think they're open to the idea of doing it. I think it's part of the long-term strategy. They're just being very conservative, and maybe one of the most conservative teams out there, and it is reflected in the ways they design the safe itself, right? Very security-minded team. We take the time to build the governance the way we think it should be, exposing the value of the technology. So, but when it comes to us as a delegate, we want this token to be enabled as soon as possible.
And yeah, so you've been teasing certain tokenomics. You're like you're super respected, I think, and deserve a lot of respect in the Hex community because you've never done a sacrifice. You didn't even take VC money when they were trying to hand it to you, and you were like, you're not even a turtle, bro. Like, doesn't seem like you're very serious about this this operation we got going on. So that's super baller. That's kind of unheard of. And but yeah, so like so do I get a bigger airdrop and staker if I hire a personal security guard, or what's the arrangement there?
I love the question. I think you're giving us ideas there, but no, I mean with the blockchain you're limited to the thing that you can verify on chain. So,
True.
but yeah, so just to give a bit of context, so yeah, we created stakers a bit more than 2 years ago as a first proof of concept. We've been overwhelmingly surprised, me and my co-founder, by the way we eat as kind of a first shot product market fit. There is no, most of the things that we released that's in the first time around, people were so excited and just building confidence. We lost a bit of that trust over time for a couple of reasons. Not the ability just to upgrade the app frequently enough with new updates, new support, the ability for a subset of our users, for technical reasons, they could not do the claim. We were making a product promise that will make it easier for people to embrace crypto, and yet to use the rest of DeFi that was not enabled in the app. They would have to go around a couple of hoops to do that. And lastly, we failed, I think, our users with on the marketing side, where they contributed to the growth of the product via the referral program. And right now, up until today, we haven't been able to pay back that to our users. So that last point really is the one that I think we're the least proud about, and we'll definitely go with a commercial gesture for, I think, all of the trust and support that the people that use the product did the most. When it comes to the question about tokenomics of what we would be doing, yeah, many teams in crypto, they go for the quick cash grab, and so that tells us how apart we are from anyone else. You could even argue that Pulsions was and post-Hex sacrifice were made before the product was present, which was not the case for Hex. Hex got released immutable and ready, and any kind of like pseudo pool of participation from people in the space was done through the adoption amplifier. But the contract was made and delivered and finished. Right? People could check that. So yeah, we are very unique in a sense that we build the product first, building goodwill, trying to prove to people that we can deliver value. And I think with V2 and the upcoming rollout to still occurring for iOS, will showcase that we do things in different ways with different values. And we see a huge opportunity to incentivize aspects of crypto that are not currently incentivized, namely security. I think that's going to be a huge unique value proposition for us, is how do you value community building, security, and knowledge about crypto protocols. So we don't want to disclose too much right now. We've been teasing some of the things that we want to reward. But imagine a token where your community would be order of magnitude more secure than the other holders of any other tokens, because part of the protocol itself is to reward users that have a more secure setup. The way you would do that on chain, and maybe it's kind of obvious, you can connect the dot, and if you have like a safe or smart wallet with multi-sig enabled, that's a little proof that you take security a bit more seriously than others, because you're securing your wealth with not only the seed phrase generated by the application, but maybe a hardware wallet or whatever other means that you want to. So I'm just giving a little teaser there, but we have way more depth in the way we think about these things, because we know that most of our users are staked for an average duration. I think now it's around 8 years, above the duration of the native X contract. So the gamification, the incentive that we already built in the product, we want to strengthen them to have that claim of fame that, yeah, a mobile wallet that is powered on top of multi-sig smart contract is one of the best setup you can have in the world not to lose your token. It could be the case, just segue with the work you're doing on security as well, that we reward people that use Times Pays Me, one of the contracts that you're about to come. So it depends on timing. Maybe we can further discuss, but I mean, our goal is just to contribute to the mission of sovereignty and security. There's no pleasure in seeing your virtual gains go to waste if you lose your seed phrase, or whether it's your hardware wallet, whether it's your seed phrase written on paper. Yeah, we hate to see that, so we're gonna just encourage and promote, incentivize security. Nobody does that in the world. Yeah. Maybe you're starting to do that with your product in a sense, but we'll have a different take on it.
Yeah, that's really exciting to me. So for me to just rewind on some of your points, I think that that you never promise people things. Like, you'll be transparent and you'll show people like some of the ideas that you're having. But if you're talking about Stake Wrap didn't get better over time, well, it did. You guys released smart wallets that wasn't in the original V1, and that is like a really big deal, I think.
It was just a tracker initially. The alpha version was just a tracker. Yeah.
So it has been getting better over time. So that's exciting, and I think that I don't think you ever promised a certain time frame on people's people's rewards for onboarding, and so it's staked right now. Like they can't get it yet.
Yeah,
It
in
fits
a
with the brand.
sense. In a sense, but imagine we had instead of being a middleman, we had a token that would incentivize people just to refer others to talk about the app or the token itself.
That'd be really cool.
I mean, Hex did that for 1 year only.
Mm-hmm.
For 1 year only.
Yeah.
So in that case,
that was really
you don't
cool.
need to knock at others saying, well, where are all my referrals? If maybe the protocol pays you directly.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting thing to see evolve someday. And I think so. I think the way that you're approaching things is really important and on point. I think that and the way that you think about security, and that's something that I've started to think about a lot, and it's just my interest, or maybe it's just what I see. I see kind of a trust problem between people who aren't in crypto and crypto itself. And so as the technology can get better over time, I think that's when we will earn more adoption that way. I think that with the bank failures that we see here and there, there's a little bit of erosion in trust, but people still trust banks and dollars as the best tools, even though we can imagine tools that are much better. And maybe as advanced power users of crypto, we can use the tools that are better in some ways. I think that, I think that as crypto gets more advanced, to be able to help secure people, and this time locking thing is really important. I think it has an effect on human behavior, where people, if they time lock something, they're more likely to market that for free for however long they're time locked.
And I followed your work with Time Pays Me, and the idea to a bit of reward there for you coming in and making the effort of time locking your tokens, and the ability to save yourself if you were hacked. These are, I think, powerful things, and we still, I think the design phase of the token is nearly done on our side, but we've been scouting actually most of the space for who is actually incentivizing security out there, and it's pretty dry. It's almost like nobody really cares about the safety of their users. While we have this technology that can create incentive, you can align incentive based on the way you design the protocol. So I think the both of us, we should chat a bit more, because maybe there's incentive, I think, to tie the work you're doing with a future token that we could be releasing.
That'd be really cool. And you know, it's also occurred to me as I go down this rabbit hole, because I didn't the original idea was I need something to help me time lock my pulse and
So it
pulse.
works, yes. Mm-hmm.
And but I am not really the billions of people. I'm not the same as the billions of people out there that also deserve to have a relationship with their future self, to pay their future self. But it as I have a psychology background, it fascinates me to no end to like try to figure out how to motivate people in a non-coercive way to like do something that's better for them. And you know, I did that with people who were court ordered to drug treatment. It was like 95. I chose to have 95% of my my patients be the hardest people to work with. They don't want to change, right? And most therapists, when they see people who don't want to change, all right, fine, you know, I'll just go work with the people who do want to change. But there actually are ways that people, you know, if somebody's abusing heroin, like I don't have to like worry about the ethics of like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
encouraging them to stop doing that. But when it's other behaviors, maybe, you know, there is a more fine line of like, you know, but I think at the end of the day, anything that we can do to empower the individual themselves to make the right choices and everything. But there needs to be a hook. People need to get into it somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And so maybe the jury is still out on like how to get, you know, the next billion users into crypto. I think if there's a network that has high adoption and low fees and stuff, that's not a bad tool. But the thing that I'm thinking about right now is like, how many people are there out there that they haven't been exposed to time locking, but they do want to be able to undo a hack? And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've already seen like a surprising amount of interest among like bigger influencers about this idea of undoing a hack on Ethereum. And so it'll be curious to me how my marketing with that goes, the, you know, organic, just, you know, doing it myself basically type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and how other users might pitch in once they're time locked too.
Yeah, yeah. There's different attack surface when it comes to cryptos. Like, are you subject, depending on your risk profile? Are you subject to people really, they know that money, they want to target you by, you know, tricking you with social engineering, clicking on the link, installing a malware, and then you get somehow to give away your private keys or your secret phrase. What we observe, just having, you know, more than 100,000 people having downloaded the app the past 2 years, number one request, right, in terms of volume, a third of the requests altogether, but number one is people losing their seed phrase or saying I lost it. Right. In many cases, actually, people still we push back and say you must have it somewhere. You will find it. And in many
Mm.
cases, they recover. In the case they cannot recover, there's kind of a hidden historic features where you can come to us and say, well, I think I lost it, but you know I haven't installed the app, and because you're actually secret phrase it encrypted, securely encrypted on the device, which is the reason why you don't have to retype it every time you transact, which is the case for most software wallets. We have an individual key for all users that we communicate back to you that helps with the decryption, and you just have the reveal features showing you your words coming from your own device. And this is painful when we cannot do that because the user changed device, they got the device stolen, and they did not write it on paper. This is really, really painful because it will create some bitterness, reduce the network effect. And so for me, securing people, you know, preventing them from being attacked with, could be from the remote world or even the people around you. Could be you have an issue with your current partner or life partner and you just have one seed phrase that somehow they know is less secure than having some sort of multi-sig setup where you have a piece of it, you know, in a different location. Or with a trusted party, you know, could be a sibling or whatever. So multi-sig, I think, is important for protecting yourself from the external world. For protecting yourself from yourself, we need some better recovery features, right? It's about UX. It's about, hey, it's all well and good to ask users just to buy a hardware wallet or write something down and put it somewhere else and plug it into the dirt and bury it, and they will forget about it. They will lose it. That's the sad reality, is that UX is still a bit hard. And so the things that contribute to the adoption is green candles, right? When the price goes up, when you're in a bull market, this is where you get the most adoption. People want the
Yeah.
green candle technology. Is the word of mouth, people around them just sharing how well they did, and people onboarding, right? So this is the thing contributing to create adoption. Really hard when you have red candles, by the way. And a UX that are friendly enough, similar to Web 2, where you have like 1 or 2 clicks to get in, right? Nearly as easy as opening a bank account, where a few clicks you transfer your money, and you know that if you feel that nobody has access to it, but if you were just to lose for whatever reason your hardware wallet or your seed phrase, you have some sort of way to recover, right? And multi-sig is part of the strategy, right? Imagine a world where you could have a bunch of custodians that they don't know each other. It's like a marketplace of custodian. In a multi-sig wallet, you have a 5 out of 7, and just to transact after a certain threshold, you need to have some of this custodian being brought in, right? I'm thinking about a larger account. Let's say you have $1 million. You don't trust yourself with your own security, but you're willing to pay a little premium, maybe 1% of your wealth on a yearly basis, to have a couple of trusted custodians to help you just move some funds. Would you do it or not, right? And they're not. They don't. Any of us. They don't have the full control and access to your account, but you need a certain threshold of them to be able just to move forward. So these are all the things that we're exploring right now, is how you tie basic security with recovery. And as part of my experience, recovery is the number one issue right now. And nobody talks about it, but I see it on a daily basis. It hurts my and I don't actually know really why people. I kind of understand. It's really shameful for someone to come out and say, "I lost my secret." So this is kind of a silent, unsung heroes or shameful people of the space that will never tell you, but I see it on a daily basis. It's a large portion of users.
Well, I actually didn't know before the past week when I saw you do an interview with somebody else. I didn't know about that recovery feature that you had built in on StakeWrap, where people can, if they've lost their seed phrase and they still have the app on their device, that you guys can remotely let them see it again, and that seems really powerful. That's
And
cool.
that tells you the fact that many people didn't know until we came recently publicly, tells you how much we care about security, because we felt that we still expose ourselves to an attack vector if too many people knows about it, and our verification process is not strong enough that we end it like someone got the device lost and someone gets into it and asks for the reveal, and we remotely enable the reveal for them, and then the seed phrase now is being compromised. So we are very, very cautious and thoughtful in our communication, in when we feel strongly enough that our processes are strong enough just to make that happen to a broader market. And right now, with the V2, that's the case. It's really akin to MetaMask, right? When you use a MetaMask account, you will encrypt your seed phrase with a local password. And yeah, so you're subject right now. If someone get access to your account, a hacker, and if you use the same password that you tend to use in others' websites, that your seed phrase is compromised, right? With our system, we truly believe that it's more secure. Because if you get hacked, you need to go through a verification. You should have, first of all, you should have your own backup. We're not responsible for you backing up. But what we offer you is, in case you did not back up your thing properly and you still need to help with recovery, well, your seed phrase is encrypted on your device if you haven't reinstalled the app, and we may be able to help you if you pass a couple of questions that we ask during a verification process.
Yeah, that's a nice balance. And I remember, like, Kareem would always say part of the reason he likes StakeWrap, one of the many reasons, is that it doesn't show your seed phrase like MetaMask does anytime you want to pull it up again, and that that was definitely something that that stuck in my mind. And so it's good to hear that there was a recovery process that I wasn't even aware of, because that, I'm sure, like you said, secures people and bails them out as well in
Yeah,
important
it means
situations.
Maddie, that you're a good custodian of your seed phrase. If you didn't reach out to us for any recovery of your account, or any of your peers
That's
needed
right.
to use that features, it means that you did a good job, onboarding and securing your seed phrase in a proper way. So, I think there's going to more to do in terms of security over the years. But if we want adoptions, it's not only about the price; it's about the UX and the feeling, not only the feeling, but the effectiveness of going into the new space, being custodian, but also know that you have some option if things go wrong. It's not there yet. It's not there yet.
Yeah, we're getting there though. It's
Yes, yes, for sure.
so I did a survey. Can't remember how many people answered this one. I've found running a survey on YouTube gets way more participation than I would have guessed. Way more. But I'd put up a survey, and I think at least 500 people answered it during a live stream, and the percentage of people who have hardware wallets that were watching and that responded in the live stream was like 79%. That's incredible.
Mm.
How many other crypto communities, or crypto shows would you imagine have that level of hardware wallets? And I also I greatly appreciate your take. You said it perfectly when you say security is a spectrum, because for me, the first time I bought Ethereum, I bought $12 worth, and it was 1 ETH at the time. And I paid like a $7 fee to Coinbase, or whoever I bought it from, and I forgot about that. And it's like I wasn't wanting to spend more than $20 at the time. uh then I came back a few years later, I was able to dig up that file, but then I was ready to do a couple $100 into Bitcoin, and you know then came back later on and put in thousands. And so
Mm-hmm.
so it's really
Then you can
important.
upgrade. You can upgrade your understanding and security over time. One of the main issue with project like Hex, and that's why we invest in. We have most of our users, like very soon, will be more secure than any. We believe like any users that use a different methodology just to create their stake will have the ability to enable multi-sig transaction and port, basically upgrade their security over time. So if you didn't have the mean to purchase a hardware wallet a year ago, now hardware wallet can be your second signer on your multi-sig, and you are able to collect a bit of money. Your bags have grown to the point where you feel that you need to secure them with higher level of security. And that flexibility, I think our user base will be the only one benefiting from that, right?
And it's also, I think it's cool game theory and very generous of you to like how, and I think a lot of people have misunderstood like how StakeRap V2 is for only $10, is giving them a Gnosis safe, uh, and then you're like in this group that has the extended features, and you're able to use more addresses. Look, if you're somebody out there and you have spent so much gas that you've created 10 wallets, you can afford $10, and it's not like every month that you're charging people that, and it's like you're not even making any money off that, and you've been
Yes,
so
it's to pay
generous.
it's to pay the gas price on Ethereum blockchain. We're just provisioning the wallets to be able to deliver them on demand. So I think there's a misunderstanding. We expected some backlash because we offered a lot of value for free for 2 years, right? Not asking for anything, no sacrifice, another thing. Some people ask for billions of dollars, right? And they don't have a product. So after 2 years, we don't do that. So that's a fact. So you can turn it and massage it and cope with it however you want. We deliver a product. We made it for free, and It was a freemium still, because we are charging fees for people using the smart wallet, a small fee, lower than the MetaMask, plus capped at $200 for the largest transaction. So we already felt that the free experience was fairly good, right, in terms of tracking data, things that the paid experience, if you had a smart wallet, because you pay a little fees for each transaction, is very competitive to other solutions. And now we keep adding more features. Now it's going to be more, more data, more token servicing, more community, and focusing on security. That's not number one, I think, reason. Focus this year is enabling multi-sig and recovery.
And I would like to point out, in defense of Pulse Chain, that people sacrificed, and I have no expectations. So that's a lot different than raising money for something.
Of course.
And yeah, there are great hopes for low fees and airdrops in the future.
Yeah.
Now, Steph, you tweeted maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. You tweeted like maybe it was like a single word. I think it was like snapshot or something.
Yeah.
What were you referring to there?
I like to be a bit like obscure when I tweet, or sometimes trolling. I think you, as you can see in my conversation, I'm a very serious person. I take my role as CEO very seriously, and I don't want any of my users. But online, with my personal account, I'll have fun. I'm sorry, this is the online world. It's all about attention and provocation. If you don't understand the way these things are being done on Twitter, maybe I should add a little clown emoji before any of my tweet, but that would just take up two characters. So I don't do that every time.
Yeah.
So I mentioned snapshot. Yeah, snapshot a few weeks ago. Not to share anything that would have I'm not privy to any specific information, but just a reminder that there's one of the largest, I think, airdrop in the crypto space that is about to be conducted by the Pulse Channel team, and they will choose term snapshot is maybe a bit more generic, but technically a block height to know when you are token on Ethereum chain, you will get the equivalent copies on the other one, right? Not only the tokens, but all your liquidity positions. The smart wallet and staker is also smart contract, so it will be copied over, right? You don't need to repurchase it or do anything there. Transaction will be actually cheaper over there. And it was just kind of a reminder, guys, snapshot could be coming at any time. It could be now, it could have been done already. You don't know that. And I think it's game theory optimal for not anyone to know, just to avoid any gamification or abuse over there. So I just reminded people that snapshot could be coming at any time. And if you're just changing any announcement to get the green candles and all hoping just to get value on the other side, you're a short-term mind person, you're a trader, and most likely the person organizing that snapshot would do everything in their power just to avoid you, just to profit of that.
Yeah. And for those of you who have forgotten what the old English word means, to Twitter, to be twittering, means to make noise in a vapid way, or to joke around about something. It's the opposite of being serious is to be twittering. So that there's context there too.
I'm maintaining the account for Staker, the Twitter account, and you should see that there's difference in communication style across the board. So yeah. Don't take things too seriously on average. If overwhelmingly, if you look at my tweets, there's 3 main pillars of my message. Is about DCAing, delaying gratification, and thinking about security, and keep hammering these things nonstop. So yeah, that's my focus.
Are there any predictions you have for the crypto market going forward?
I think this year is going to be a bit choppy. I think I mentioned it a couple of tweets at the end of last year that we were reaching the bottom, and the Hex may have bottom. I was a bit slightly too early. It went slightly down. But for 6 months, if you have your average entry price for Hex was at 3 cents, you did okay. For the broader market, I also believe that it has likely bottom. I think these things all rhyme. it doesn't mean that we're going for a bull market straight. It's not because you're bottom that you're not going to be a lot of shoppiness throughout the year. That's what I believe. We may go back into this single cycle, into more activity by the end of the year around Thanksgiving. The crypto market is often driven by the American investor sentiment, and there's a lot of, family time around the end of the year where people talk about crypto, start reinvesting, redeploying. Going into January, people get maybe the pay raise or bonuses. So all these things are cyclical, and we've seen it play out in the past few years. So I don't expect it just to be different this year. So this year, be careful, don't trade too much, because it will go up and down, and you might lose everything if you were to trade.
Okay, that's good advice. So, well, here's the real question though: is how is it that you so clearly called the Bitcoin top on the day and tweeted about it, and you were so clear with your tweet that was the day, and you didn't delete tweets that had like predicted it at other times?
Yeah, I kept that one for more than a year. I mean, the top occurred, I think, 2 days later. I say, well, that's it. Bitcoin top, see ya. And at that time, I think maybe my Twitter account was just maybe 2,000 followers or whatever. So it has almost zero impact, but it had high value, low impact, but high. Like, it was high value, high signal tweet, and I keep delivering on average a very strong prediction. One of the main reasons for that is I've been in space for a long time. That led me to understand a bit more psychology and reading a bunch of signals, not only adjacent signals. But not only that, I created my own indicators, personal indicators, not public, that help me just give me long-term signals, often like 8 hours or a daily or weekly candle resolution, to give me when a move, an asset has been exhausted. It doesn't work only for crypto, it works for a bunch of market, because it's mostly efficient on long-term time frames, which I never have like anything below the 8 hours resolution, to give you a sense.
Cool. Yeah. So you got a whole artificial intelligence built for yourself there that can see the future. Nice.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, yeah, I'm really glad that we got to do this interview. And are there any other things that you want to discuss?
I think my main message is, things I want people just to take home is really that, the world, whether you want it or not, is changing, right? So if you have a tendency just to be too emotional, too over leveraged, too over indexed on the project, please reconsider. It's the same argument for security. It's about segmentation. Right? Just don't go all in with all your money, leveraging a house, going 15 years on one asset, right? Locked in. That's playing casino, right? And maybe it turns out well if you do that. Maybe it doesn't. On average, in most cases in life, it doesn't. When you gamble that high with too much leverage, you end up. We've seen it many times. Maybe emergency ends taking your stake because you need money. Right? So don't be a maxi. Be open-minded to new things. Embrace the crypto values versus the crypto tokens. Right? It's about decentralization, the sovereignty, ownership of your own money, and we lose that game if 5-10 years down the line there's less people in the world that have ownership over their own money. Right? So embrace this nation. Different people, different builders, different founders, different investors will value things slightly differently. But as long as it's different product, they lead towards the same destination, I don't mind. Right? If someone wants to do it via investing in Bitcoin, be my guest, right? As long as they know what they're doing. If they're not doing it for the gains, they'll still be happy, right? Because they would own their own money. So.
I think it's really clear how you put it, that that security can come down to segmentation, and that's something that I've done to be able to sleep better at night, is to use segmentation, in a very integrated way, in a very like diverse way, whether it's having more than one banking relationship, whether it's using different devices to manage different portions of my crypto savings. to have, you know, a staking ladder, so I'm segmented over time, to shamir my seed words in steel and stuff. And so there's I think that there are a lot of things that people can do as they migrate more of their savings into the digital world to be able to sleep better at night.
Yeah, there was a gentleman in the community. I think it must have been 2 or 3 months ago, maybe about two. That went into a Twitter space. I think security-minded Twitter space or Telegram room, saying that he got broken into his house. He had a safe with a kind of like a safe with a gun, and that inside the safe they took everything, including his hardware wallet. Right? So here's a guy that had invested some dollar amount to have a safe, and they were less secure that someone that would have written down their seed phrase, split it into pieces, and put it into two locations. Right. So segmentation is the best security. There's no better security than segmentation. Don't be lured into thinking the simple one-click, one-purchase solution will make you secure. Segmentation is the key, and you should maybe on yearly basis review how well you're segmented. Did any of your segment could have been compromised? If you have a small amount of money, don't worry too much. The more money you have, the more you should take security seriously, and that's what we're really, really passionate, and we promote the use of this Gnosis Safe is that lets you evolve your security basically posture over time, which is harder if you just do a 15 years stack with a regular address. We call it EOA address. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, that's that's perfect. To get people into that mindset of using segmentation and evolving your security over time is I think that there's something you said earlier in the interview that that reminded me of something I heard last night when I heard RG3 talking to Westcott Crypto. And Westcott is somebody who's a newer content creator in the space and focuses a lot on talking about PulseX and Hex. And he said that part of what got his attention was Richard's outrageousness, Richard's clothing, and then Richard's intelligence. But then really the thing that caused him to want to invest and to take action and to join crypto was the number of people that he heard from that had retired due to Hex. It was the number of people that Hex retired to him that made him finally want to take action and be so involved. And then when he found also that he was able to use some of his creative abilities, and apparently he's gone viral in other areas of his life, but now he's starting to make crypto content. And like really makes me excited.
It's very fun. I've seen some of this cover that he's making with some nice outfit out there. It's cool. And that's the theme that I covered in one of your conferences, the Hex DAO, is that we all have skills, and if we're all passionate about product, we're committed for decades. It's like we're all doing in the decentralized, distributed manner our best just to make the entire ecosystem very vibrant. So.
Can you say a little bit more about the Hex DAO and what you meant by that and where your thinking's at with it these days?
I like to be, tongue-in-cheek and provocateur. So when I saw in 2021, 2022, a lot of people saying, well, this is my governance token and I'm building a DAO, I was like, what are you talking? The DAO have been existing since the inception of Bitcoin. It's people coming together to enrich, develop the network. Some people are just holders. Some people starting creating media content. Some people are miners. So people in an organization have different tasks and all contribute to the strengthening of the ecosystem. So DAO exists in a sense with the existence of any cryptocurrency. And the rewards is the appreciation of the token itself. That's the governance token. That's the thing that says, well, I'm doing well because I get acquiring more of the token, right? It's a bit loose definition because you said maybe miners in some sense, in a different point in time, acquire more than others. But if you are Coinbase, for example, well, you are definitely, you contributed to DAO. You're a traditional Web2 entity, but you're part of the Bitcoin DAO. And now they support more tokens, so they're part of multiple DAOs because they contribute to the growth of these networks. Hex is quite unique DAOs in a sense that the network participants are committed for such a long time that it creates a level of extremism, tribalism, religion that transcends anything that you've seen before, to the point that, for music, content creation, live streams, security practices, there's no other community in the world that cares that much about all the facets of crypto that we are, right? And the paradox is that we also a bit more like the outsider community when you look at the existing crypto space, where even 3 years in, some people still step back from the mic and feel disgusted about discussing Hex, even when the data is out there just to prove them wrong. That should remind current community members that the answer is outside of the existing crypto community.
How so?
If after 3 years in the space, you have CoinMarketCap, Binance, a bunch of influencers still afraid of discussing Hex or promoting it or saying, based on its own merit, right? Just not even overshooting, just presenting the fact. Why do you spend so much energy on them? Get some energy presenting the fact to people that are not already in.
Yeah. And so like another incredible like emergent thing that's happened with the Hex DAO that I wasn't aware of actually until recently is that there is a 24-hour Twitter Spaces that's been going for like 14 or 15 months now, and it continuously, and there's this whole underground group of people that run it, and they're super knowledgeable and they take turns, and so anybody can go to this website, twitter.com/hex all day, and it's like 24-hour support.
Yeah, community. This is a community based, and this is one. But these things you could say, well, if someone doesn't like the way the tone of that group, or wants to do something a different flavor with more humor or a bit of music in the background, whatever, that's the beauty. It's like,
yeah,
people in the X community are so committed for the long term that I like to say that we kind of all married to each other's by the proxy of the smart contract, right? We're all in for 10, 15 years, and because of that, that it's like jumping on the boat with strangers, and you need to cross the ocean, and you'll be with them for 15 years. So some you will like, some you won't, but you need to cross a board, and there's incentive for everybody just to come together at the end of the day. So.
And that brings me back to one of the points I wanted to make here is that we're all in this together, and the more we can play nicely with each other and work together, I think in most cases the better off we'll be. And so people out there, if your dopamine got disrupted by some UI changes or something, remember that it's normal for you to have reaction to that, but like at the end of the day, it's it's maybe not you who's going to have everything designed for them, but it's going to be also things need to be designed for the next group of people that get onboarded.
Yeah.
And that's okay, and that's exciting, and we can all pitch in and do our own work and not have to expect things from others, but be very grateful when others volunteer to do work.
And competition is good. I mean, if there's people that really want their crypto experience tailored in a certain way, support specific protocols, well, be my guest, right? We can't do it. We're a small team still. We can't do it all. we really focus on the long-term mission, right? So if you want to play a couple of derivative games here and there, and we don't give you as support as you wanted, yeah, we're sorry. I mean, you may have to find a new home, and maybe you may have multiple apps. It's okay, right? Competition is good. Different tools can be used for different things. But I mean, the crazy thing is we all want the same thing in the end, right? Be sovereign over our money. So these little day-to-day, nagging or personal attacks, for me, they're quite a distraction, right? If someone is too much worried about what an app or what someone does with their own money, well, again, it tells more about yourself than what we're trying to accomplish, which is that something bigger. So
Yeah, so everybody out there, wake up and stop projecting. Part of emotional management is emotional awareness, and that's what I do on Thursday nights. Is I try to give people little nuggets of crypto therapy here and there, and in between the other topics that we talk about. So,
yeah. And for those that we made a promise and that we owe some referral money, will make people whole. I'm a big fan of, when you made someone wrong, to do some sort of commercial gesture. We did with many of our users already. As a little incidents or vibes, we went above and beyond. Even in some cases, some users have issue coming from them. We try to, put them back into the SKM, and that's how much we care. Sometimes we're not public about it. Karim and other people that work with us on support can testify the level of integrity and ethics that we put into everything we do. So for those that are still waiting for the referral money, it's coming, and we'll just try to make you all go above and beyond. So thank you for still sticking with us and bearing with us the whole time. We love the support, we love the feedback, we love the criticism. We have a mission, and we're gonna try to stay the course.
That's right. Yeah, that's it's encouraging for me to see you set a good example. I try to do the same thing with my ethics and my participation in the community, and it's the Hex community and the Hex DAO that really makes me hopeful for the future. And part of that might be because I have a stake in my future and I pay my future self. Part of it might be because of me seeing other people and hearing their stories about how they're better off in one way or another because of this, this new financial system. So
yeah, I would love to go, Maddie, but thank you very much for your time, the ability for me just to present the philosophy, some of the highlighting a couple of features that we have in the app, trying to apologize for the things that we didn't do enough in the future, but we're doing our best. Nobody's perfect. We hope that over time we keep showcasing that we put on the work, we improve the services and the product that we deliver, and that we keep being a net positive force for the entire ecosystem.
Absolutely. And so as we close out here, where can people find you?
Yeah, me personally, it's on Twitter 0x Steph, as it's written on the caption, and you can also check out Staker app on Twitter. This is the corporate account. The website staker.app.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you once again for being here and for everything that you do for the space, and looking forward to the next 15 years.
Yeah. Thank you for being part of the XDAO, Maddie. Much appreciated.
My pleasure. Peace out.